Hi, once again, Gemini Dialogues with the infamous astrologist. This is always going to be about who I'm having a dialogue with. I want the wisdom of the other person. Understand? And that's what I'm probing for here. So, what we have is sister and neighbor, you know what I mean? Marie Johnson, right? And I had a few conversations with Marie, and I knew that it would be good, it would be beneficial, it would be expansive to be able to share her perspective with all of us. In particular, about men. How we tend to show up with women, and are there some things that maybe we should think about, maybe we should take into consideration. It's always good to have an outside perspective, a sense of accountability, critique, criticism, examination, all of the above. It's what keeps us sharp. It's what keeps us resilient. It's what keeps us accountable and hopefully productive and always growing. So let's do ourselves a favor, listen, internalize, and see how can we use this as a mirror in some form or fashion, or how can we have some conversations with our family and loved ones based on this dialogue that could prove productive or insightful. All right? So, let's hear it. Like, share, subscribe.
Okay, so here we go again. Gemini Discourse. Gemini Discourse. We have Marie. We have my sister and neighbor, Marie. Happy that she's here to share perspective. This is the infamous astrologist, as you all know. And I'm just here to be a journalist reporting from her perspective, from her mind, about a very important topic, which is, what have you observed or what have you learned concerning the behavior, the character of men in our communities? And we want to learn what are some things that we as men should probably consider or think about, especially as it relates to meeting women where they need to be met at. Okay, so Marie.
Hi, hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm grateful for you for, choosing to go through this with me.
Well, I feel good about it, and I'm happy that you trust me enough to do so. And, this is where the magic happens at. This is where the magic happens at. And so, tell us a little, about yourself. What part of the world are you from? And, how's the market? Would you say out there? We were having the discussion, behind the scenes, and it was a valuable exchange. And I asked Marie if she didn't mind if we shared part of that conversation, out here with the people, because there's always benefit in what we learn, what we observe. And so, I'm just here to facilitate that. So, yeah, Marie, let us know, where you're coming from and, what have you seen?
Absolutely. Happy to. Well, I'm from a very small town girl, now living in a city here in North Carolina. Of course, I live in the South. I grew up here in the South. People like to say that we are ladies and gentlemen. We have debutantes and we have, cowboys to a degree. Not like Texas or Oklahoma, but still to a degree. So
Okay.
I grew up in a small town, and I had a lot of uncles and cousins and male cousins, and I grew up around boys. I know there are some women, they have their moms or they have their sisters or their aunts or whatever, and I have that as well. But I have four brothers, so I definitely grew up and had an inside peek at the lives of boys and men growing up.
Ah,
Unfortunately, my father, he wasn't in my life as much. And I know that there's some discourse around that as to what type
okay.
of issues that can bring up in a woman. But I was lucky in that I had uncles and a grandfather who were very involved in my life, who,
Hmm.
you know, instructed me and talked to me and a lot of other things. And I'm also blessed to have genuine male friends. So as a woman, I think that sometimes I have a unique perspective on men because I have
Uh-huh.
experience outside of romantic relationships, so to
Okay.
speak, deep experience. So
Okay.
I'm not going to say I understand everything that men go through. Obviously, I am not a man, but I think that, I present myself as a safe space for some men, and I know that I have vulnerable and candid conversations with them that they may not have with other women. And obviously, I involve myself with men romantically as well. So I just have a lot of perspective and a lot of thoughts, and it really contributes to the way I go about dating and getting to know men, if that makes sense.
Okay. Marie, you painted that very well. Okay, you laid
Oh,
down the
thank you.
prime paint so well. That's a good coat of prime right there. Okay, we know we got a small town woman girl who grew into a woman. Obviously, a lot of most of the time we expect that there's a rich sense of values there. And as you mentioned too, you have the polished nails and you're not afraid of little grit too, huh? And
Right.
obviously you're raised with boys, so there's a lot that you relate to, and having respect of Mars and Venus, and balance and harmony there. So I am really going to cherish, some of your feedback here. We really are going to, cherish this, and I'm happy that you could, explain to us where it's coming from. Thank you very much. So let's catch up. Um, let's start at, in your mind, what what has changed in recent years? In the term that we call modern times. What do you think or see or have observed that has changed in perhaps the values of men in modern times?
That's a great question. I don't know if it's more so an age thing because I am in my mid 30s, and maybe 15, 20 years ago, I was in high school. And in my small town where I come from, the men, they were very gentlemanly to a degree. So, they're looking out for the girls. They're making sure that, girls get home safely. If they have girl cousins, no one's like, going to bully them. No boy is going to treat them badly. They're going to look out for women. They love their mothers. They love their little sisters. And now, and again, I don't know if this is an age thing where men grow up and they look at women differently, or if it's social media and just the modern times that we are living in. But now it seems that men and women are always in competition.
Okay.
Like, who can one up the other the most? It's almost like people are afraid to be vulnerable. So men, to a degree, they don't want to court women. They don't want to protect women because they're afraid that that's going to lead to women not taking them seriously, or not feeling like they're masculine enough. Like, oh, you're over there about to beat me up because of this girl. That girl is this, that girl is that. Like, you don't want to be seen with her. She's going to control you. She's going to, make you look stupid or what have you. So I think men
Uh-huh.
to a degree are afraid of women.
Mm. Have you seen how have your brothers handled that position?
Hmm.
growing up, or have you gotten to see how they handle vulnerabilities, or when it comes to.
Yeah, I think they've become hardened over time. Honestly, like when we were
Okay.
young, the now men, but then boys that were in my family or in my close circle of friends, they were, of course, they're not going to treat me that way because they know me. But when it came to outside women, they were more protective. They were more of protectors and providers. They want to make sure that women are good. They want to make sure that women feel cared for and protected in their presence. But now it's almost as if they have to protect themselves from the women.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So I've had male friends who may have married young, and they had bad experiences in those marriages with the women, and then it changed their perspective on women a lot.
Uh-huh. So, do you think that if we have an experience that may not be so well, or gives us a really bad memory, possibly even trauma, should we carry that on with us, and make that set the tone and how we relate to the next woman?
Honestly, I do feel that's what a lot of men do, and I don't feel that they should.
Hmm.
I think that's a detriment. I think that's something that has been a detriment over time
Okay.
because they're carrying that trauma and they're not releasing it or dealing with it, so they can't have healthy relationships because they can't trust and they can't be vulnerable.
What do you think
So
are
it
some things?
hinders them.
Thank you. Yes. I can't agree enough. Absolutely. What do you think are some things that we haven't tried yet as men, or that we're not opening our minds up to, concerning adapting and making those changes in a healthy way?
I don't think that men have opened their minds to other men, and not obviously not in a romantic way, but there are older men who are in marriages who can be mentors, or who are family men who can be mentors to younger men. But
Mm-hmm.
because our generation suffers from a somewhat of a lack of maturity,
Mm-hmm.
if those men don't impress them in a certain arena, then they're not going to take what those men have to say to heart.
Okay.
And that I think there's a disconnect there in the mentorship that could be there, the guidance, the leadership that could be there is not there because these young men grew up in a different generation to a degree.
Uh, Now, Marie, that brings that. Okay, that immediately brings another question, and I would love to hear it from you. Um, so, would that give? Do you think, from a woman's perspective, that would give single women who are maybe searching, dating, or trying out their prospects out here, in this world? Um, do you think you would get a little more confidence about approaching that world if you seen that mentorship, that male mentorship, was a part of our culture?
I don't know if it would give me more confidence to see that. I think it would maybe make me feel more comfortable knowing that this man has a mentor that can talk to him if we're having an issue, knowing that he has someone to go to release his feelings, to get positive feedback, to troubleshoot issues that are going on in his life or in the relationship.
Right.
However, all mentors are not good mentors, so it depends on the quality and the character of the actual mentor, because you have some older men that'll come and tell him like, hey man, just cheat on your wife. What are you doing? Why are you trying to work things out? Why are you trying to go to therapy? Just get you a side girl. That's gonna make all your problems go away. Then your wife will be happy. You will be happy. Things will be fine.
Marie, you're absolutely right. Um, just my 2 cents. I think that um, when we as men are not holding each other accountable, we're creating an image collectively that individually we all will have to suffer from. And,
Absolutely.
you know, trust is a big thing when it comes to those who, in a sense, feel subject to a man's care, or the strength that he's capable of and what he's going to do with it, his freedom and what he's going to do with it. Um, I really believe that would be quite revolutionary if we as men had accountability circles, counsel, mentorship, as you mentioned. And I'm really convinced that women could have a lot more confidence about how they interact with us and what they could expect. So something I'm curious about is when men confide in each other. Hey, I just experienced this one girl. I just had a happy time with so and so, even though he's married. And they're high fiving, slap fiving, and different things like that, instead of, as you say, holding each other accountable. How do women out here vet men when it comes to getting to know them, and rather or not, this infrastructure is behind them? How do you know and how do you verify these things before you get too far into the contract? Not just saying from your own experiences, but also from what you observed of other, young ladies out there, in your world.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great question. First, I think that vetting and observing anyone is going to require a great deal of maturity, and not necessarily a great deal of experience, but the right experiences and the right guidance for the women. I feel like, I've dated and I continue to date. I am not married. And I feel that, I'm just now getting to a point where I know myself enough and I am experienced enough to really look for the qualities and characteristics that are going to make a good mate, or that make a good man. And I think the way that women can vet is to study. You have to spend time with this person. You have to see what this person does, for example, not just for a living. It doesn't matter if someone is a CEO or a freaking diesel mechanic or a landowner or a hotel employee. It doesn't matter. Like the job doesn't matter. What matters is a person's character, how they treat people, how they treat themselves, how they hold the people in their lives accountable. What type of person are they to the people in their lives? Look at their friends. If you have 5 men who are friends with your love interest, and all 5 of these men are not people that you think that you would want to date, because mind you, they're showing you their true selves, because they're not trying to impress you. They're not trying to date you. They don't want anything from you. So
Okay.
their character is going to be reflective of the person you're interested with character, because if it wasn't, they wouldn't all be together all the time. Cream
Oh,
rises to the top and birds of a feather flock together.
okay. And so that was very well said. Thank you, for taking the time to craft that thought. So, what are some things that probably, or are there some things that are too much or too far in the vetting process, in your opinion?
I mean, I don't think you should invade someone's privacy. Like, go through their phone or go through their home when they're not away or when they're not paying attention. Don't invade someone's privacy. You can find out a lot about someone by just observing them. So I think there are some things that are too far when it comes to the vetting process. But again, depending on where you want to meet this person, if you're looking for a husband, someone to spend the rest of your life with, then you need to take your time. You need to
Okay.
take your time.
Okay. So I'm curious to know, what is our collective reputation as far as how we as men are showing up to women when it comes to courtship, dating, or all of the above? Let me be the figure that, that takes accountability, on behalf of the men. I want you to, tell me where it hurts. I want.
Well, I think a lot of men are showing up in ego. I think that their men's courtship of women is determined by their judgment of women. So men, they'll choose a woman based on looks, and I'll just say it like that. They'll choose a woman based on looks, and
We
then they'll be
overemphasizing looks, you mean, or
absolutely,
oh,
absolutely. A lot of men choose based on a visual perspective of a woman.
yeah.
And the woman that may be good for them, who's maybe like a 5 or 6 on the look scale,
Oh, you're telling on us.
maybe I don't know, a woman who's not as attractive as some
Yes.
other women. And then on top of that, men have it's hard to explain because I feel
Uh-huh.
like I have a lot of male friends, and the women that they date, they may
Okay.
not be the most beautiful at times, but the women that they show off, the women that they uplift in their social circles or social media presence, online presence, are women who fit a certain looks ideal. But sometimes the
Uh-huh.
women they date aren't as much. Like you'll see a man and he's dating a woman and she looks like Beyonce, but then you see the woman he's had kids by and she's far from it. You know what I mean? But
Uh,
at the same time, they're putting this perspective out there in the world that other women are looking at that says this is the standard of beauty, when in actuality it's not. Because we see the women that you have kids with, or we see the women that you dated in the past. Like,
yeah.
I feel like men come to the dating market with judgment towards women, and they will try to project their ego onto you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to me, they'll try to project their ego onto you. They'll project their traumas, their insecurities. They don't come as they are. They don't come with their masks off. They don't come with vulnerability. They don't come with confidence. They come with whatever they think is going to get them what they want. So it's hard to choose, or it's hard to know a man's true intentions when you're meeting them and when they're courting you. A man can take you on a date every day of the week. He can fly you to any location that you want to go to. That does not mean he cares for you. That does not mean he likes you. That does not mean he has any intentions for you. So
Okay,
it's
so
confusing.
getting flown out or flued out, as they say, that's not something to really be flattered about. Are you telling me that?
No, it's not. I
Okay,
mean, I don't think it is.
all right. Um, Marie, we got to back up. You made a great point here. Okay, our eyes are really greedy, and we can overlook a treasure of blessings because of what we see, and we can inherit a mound of burdens over what we see. We do it all the time as men,
Absolutely.
and what I spoke about recently, the fact that we have Virgo at the South Node. Okay, I think we can add a
Hmm.
little astrology in here, right?
Absolutely. I
Oh,
actually have that placement
okay,
natally.
huh? Say again.
So I have that placement natally.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, here we go. Let's talk about it. So, um, something that I understand about South Node Virgo and also 12th house Virgo is we're learning lessons about around dissatisfaction. And it comes in many ways, many ways. And the fact that it's at the South Node, collectively, all of us are learning that lesson in our own way about dissatisfaction. And I know that with South Node Virgo and also Virgo 12th house, it has some similarities that we could throw the baby out with the bathwater, you know, where if
Hmm.
one little blemish is on it, get it out of here is no good, you know? This idea of wanting to have an image, reputation, or status of perfection. That's the 12th house aspect, okay? You want everybody to see you as being so perfect, have it all together, so on and so forth. I'm not saying that this is every Okay, Virgo, 12th house. However, that is one of the expressions that goes along with that placement for some. Okay, now could we be learning that lesson collectively? Um, we're talking about men right now, obviously. Could we be learning that lesson right now about, the greed of our eyes, the dissatisfaction that we see because she doesn't have these huge, exaggerated curves like the Instagram girl, or she doesn't have the face that's so, centerfold perfect and all of these other different things. And later on, you see us crying and mad or something else because somebody gave us a boo boo. We got hurt over something. Um, our eyes were bigger than our wisdom. And there's always seems to be, and I might be talking all over the place, but I promise you, I see it.
You're
So,
fine.
um, there always seems to be the case where in my life I've recalled that what I call the regular degular. Okay, I'm talking to you like we standing at the bodega. I know some people might, oh, I can't believe he said that. I'm good at pissing people off, but I think you're okay with me. Um, the regular degular. What I learned about the regular girl on that scale, okay, she's obviously not the supermodel, and she's not bad on the eyes, so on and so forth. There seems to be a spirit of groundedness that comes with not being distracted by so much attention. And could we as men have created that by how much attention we give to certain characteristics and qualities? Do you think that we have a lot to do with why certain images tend to carry certain attitudes or perspectives about themselves that might not be very positive?
I absolutely do. I ascribe to the belief that men are the head. Men drive a lot of what goes on in the world. And I think that it's easy to say, that women, we have the upper hand right now. We're getting our degrees, we're making all this money, we're raising the kids, we're going to work, we're doing everything, right?
Okay.
But at the end of the day, a lot of the things that women do are to impress men. They do it to impress men. You ask, do I think that men, their eyes may have been bigger than their bellies? You may have gotten a bit ahead of you. You guys may have gotten a bit ahead of yourself as far as admiring a woman's beauty versus seeing her true character. And I have a
Uh,
friend.
right.
I have a friend, and he says, he's older now. He'll be 40 soon, and he told me, he's like, Marie, I see a certain type of woman now, and I say, that's a bill. She's a bill. She's a headache.
Right.
She's going to need too much attention. She gets too much attention from other men, so she wants all of your attention, or she's going to try to go get it somewhere else. She's used to people buying her stuff and doing stuff for her because she's pretty. So
Maria,
now she's
same
going to
thing.
expect you to do all those things as
Yeah,
well.
I get the same feedback. I've heard this talked about in the locker rooms of barbershops, all the time. You know,
Yeah, they'll say she's
uh,
a bill. She's a bill.
yes,
She's not going to bring anything to the table besides her looks, but she wants
yes.
you to spend all your resources on her. So I don't want to date those types of women anymore.
So, okay. So let's circle back again. Okay, maybe I'm asking the same question again. Did we create that out of her by approaching her that way?
I don't.
Eating with our wallet or lusting or, infatuation. You understand the trophy. Look what I got over here in the passenger seat. Hey guys, look what I got. You saw who I was just with. Did we create that?
I think in a way, yes, but also no. And I'll say that because, like I said before, everything that women do is for the benefit of men. So
Okay.
with that being said, you can have two beautiful women that look totally different. You'll have a woman who's beautiful. She doesn't have on a $3,000 bag. She doesn't have hair extensions down to her ankles. She may not wear makeup. She doesn't wear designer clothes, but a man will still see her and say, wow, she is just as beautiful as this other girl standing beside her that has on all of this stuff. But the girl that has on all of this stuff, in my opinion, now I'm not saying this is everyone, but it's due to her own insecurity. She's wanting to get the attention of other people, whereas this other woman, she's beautiful in her own right, but she
Yeah.
is not as outwardly focused with it. She is not beautiful to garner attention. She's just beautiful because she was born this way.
Absolutely.
So
In my old man, 42-year-old, observation, grown to realize that, there was a time where what I see is all I can understand or respond to. You understand? And
Mhm.
time is a teacher, where you start to learn and you start to pay attention to patterns. You study your own behavior and your, others' behavior. And, you hopefully get a little bit wiser. I think I got maybe a fraction a bit wiser about that, where I started to notice that there's tremendous value that gets overlooked in women or females who may not carry the aesthetic of what we're force fed through social media. You know,
Absolutely.
social media,
Absolutely.
I feel, is very harmful to women's self esteem. And I feel
Yeah.
it's very harmful to the mind and imagination of men when it comes to setting our intentions, you know?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I think that sooner or later, we're going to have to step outside of it and say, okay, we're in control here. We're the boss. I'm not going to let this social media rule my judgment and perception, you know, because we create so much unhappiness as a result of that. And guess what we want to do? Oh, I'm going to blame somebody else because I'm upset, you know.
Hmm.
But we really do, as men, overlook a great deal of value based on outer appearance. And I'm here to say, as a 42-year-old elder, a proud elder, okay, um, you're playing yourself when you think that a woman's curves and aesthetics and all these other things, that's part of what's going to bring you happiness and fulfillment. Nothing steps over the character ever.
I agree. I agree 100%. And I want to
Yeah.
add that when it comes to social media being a detriment to women and men, it's outside of how men perceive women. It's also about how men perceive themselves through the lens of social media. We have Generation Z. I'm a millennial. The next generation is coming up behind me. Instagram and Facebook came out right when I graduated high school in about 2006. So people that are 10 to 15 years younger than me, they grew up with this throughout their whole lives, looking at people online, looking at
Right.
things online. Like when I was young, I'm from the country. So, I ran around on the dirt road and
Yeah.
playing with boys, climbing trees, playing with animals. Like I wasn't thinking about a Chanel bag when I was 12 years old. I
Right.
wasn't thinking about things like that. Granted, my aunt had a hair salon, so I would be in the hair salon. So I was always into beauty, hair, makeup, and things like that, but not for attention. That was one of my genuine interests because this is what I'm around every single day. So you have to think you have, little boys growing up a lot of time. Well, sometimes a good amount of times without their father, without a strong male role model in their lives. So they're looking online, they're looking at TV, they're looking at these role models that they see every day, and they may not look like them.
Hmm.
They may not talk like them. there's nothing about these people that is familiar to them that they can actually relate to, but this is all they have. And then social media comes and they see people that look like them, but they're living different lives. They're doing different things. So
Right.
now they're watching the rappers and the actors and the basketball players and football players, and they're like, this is what I want to be like. So when that doesn't work out, they're like, I don't know what to do. So
Uh,
they're looking to other people to form their ideals about themselves. And a lot of times they're not getting good messaging. So they don't have a good sense of self confidence or, excuse
uh-huh.
me, or pride in themselves or esteem of themselves to even approach a woman that they think is pretty or
Oh,
that they may think is beautiful or that they may be attracted to.
I see. I see. You know, Marie, you brought that full circle too. Um, the fact that we do have Neptune at Aries is going retrograde now, and that's really holding to all of us. The question: am I my own ideal? You know, um, hopefully if we can align with it, we can save ourselves from that, you know, because everything and everyone has been our ideal of ourself and our identity, except our own heart, for some of us or most of us, for
Mm-hmm.
generations. I come from the generation where, uh, you know, the internet was on dial up, I mean,
Right.
it took forever to see a picture on the internet. And, you seen a few girls around town or around your city, your borough, or whatever else, and I like that girl. She's nice. I like that girl. She's nice. And you narrow it down to about 3 or 5 of them that you hope would fall in love with you one day or whatever. But it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
millions to look at across the internet. Where the world became smaller and you actually have access to so many. You know what I mean? Um, Man, what a great point. And so here's what I want to you know uh, wrap up with you. It's like this little 30 minutes went by so quickly. Um, so Marie, give us a call to action. Okay, hit us over the head with a pocketbook. All right, hit us over the head with your purse. Let's get it together. What's the call to action for us fellas out here? Um, where are we mishandling our sisters? Where are we, mishandling their hearts or their minds? In this world, in this life. Help us out.
Absolutely. My call to action to men is to wake up. Wake up. There are so many women out here who are loving, who are kind, who will love your children, who will have your children, who will keep your home, who will keep your heart and keep your mind that you can build with to the life that you want so badly. The media, the hive mind of social media is not reality. Like having 3, 4, 5 women, having 3, 4, 5 baby mamas is not sustainable. That is not going to get you to a life that you want to live. And if you don't wake up and get serious about choosing women who are good for your future, you will end up old in a nursing home by yourself with no one to come and take care of you or be there for you because you won't have a family. You're not sustaining a family unit living the lifestyle that you're living. You're not securing your legacy for your children or your grandchildren living the life that you're living. You're showing them how to go out and spread themselves amongst the world, and there's no nucleus, there's no family. Like, we need you to be the head. We need you, even though you may think that women are combative or not submissive or whatever it is you think about women. Just like all men are not one way, all women are not one way. Be wise, be selective. Don't be a slave to sex or to looks or to money or to your ego or your pride. Humble yourself, be vulnerable, find someone that can be a helpmate to you so that you can build the legacy that you want to build.
Hmm. Wow. You heard it straight from the woman's voice, call to action. I'm glad we got to have this discourse. Hopefully, we get a full plate, wrap it with aluminum foil, take it home, right?
Hopefully.
You know what I mean? Food for thought, all that. And so, if I ask one final, question, if you could bless us, you know what I mean, is Um, as men, what could we do better to communicate um, a protective and also trustworthy character? Not just by saying that this is who I am, but what are better ways that we could demonstrate that and show it?
All people, especially men, know what they are supposed to do. Choose the right thing. Choose the right thing to do. Don't talk about how great of a man you are. Show us. Make good choices. Make good decisions.
Mm,
Make sound decisions, because your sons are not following what you tell them, they're following what you do.
mm,
Do what you would want your son to do if they were faced with the question that you're facing at that moment.
mm. Thank you, Marie.
You're welcome. Thank
I
you.
hope we can get together again, go over some more things. I'm really happy we did, get to have this, this discourse. Hopefully everybody have something, to think about and digest. I'm really thankful and I'm really appreciative of your time.
Likewise, thank you for having me.
Okay. Enjoy your evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to hear your thoughts and opinions, comments, recommendations, suggestions. If you would like to have a dialogue with me, you can simply get my attention down below in the comment section. I would love, to pick your mind, put it out there, and see how we all can benefit and grow from it. Thank you for your support always. You heard?